of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Mrs. Tony HULMAN.
As the chairman of the board of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Mrs. Tony HULMAN.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
And the roar of millions of dollars of racing equipment begins on the main stretch as each of these thoroughbreds roars out a challenge to its fellow competitors. The drivers sit in position. We scan now the 11 rows of 3. The crews holding a hand in the air to indicate that they are ready to go. Now the Oldsmobile parade cars begin to pull away. And in that Oldsmobile pace car, Jim Garner, driver of the pace lap for the 3rd time in his life. Now as the safety cars pull, Jim Garner is ready to pull away in the pace car. Flashing yellow lights at the back of that car. The front row still sits quietly. The safety cars just a bit ahead in the first turn now. The front row still sits, anticipating, waiting. The temperature begins to build. Track temperature at this moment, 115 degrees. Air temperature in the mid-80s. We expect it to go to 90 before this afternoon is over. That could definitely have an effect on the running of the Indianapolis 500. Now, the pace car begins to roll away, and the front row rolls as well. Let's meet the team of veteran broadcasters ready to report the 69th 500. Hanging from a basket on the first turn grandstand with a view of that turn to the whole main stretch. The man that will in just a few moments call out the leader at that first turn. A veteran of 21 years with our broadcast, Ron Carroll.
Thank you, Paul. Well, our new turn 1 position has been described as a crow's nest, and so it is. Imagine, if you will, a double-deck set of stands. At the southwest end of the track, we are positioned at a midpoint between the upper and lower stands, suspended on a wooden platform attached to steel girders 50 feet above the track surface. The view is absolutely breathtaking. I can see the cars exit the 4th turn, all of the main straightaway, of course, turn 1, and even into turn 2. Each year on these pace laps, we try to find a new way to describe the pageantry, the color, the spectacle of this event. Words simply are not adequate. 400,000 people on their feet, 33 racing machines and drivers ready to take the green flag. Anxious to go, and so are we. Paul, back to you.
A hesitation for just a moment here on the main stretch as Rick Mears' engine failed to fire, but finally it roared into life, and Rick Mears has joined the field. So we wait now as the field approaches the 4th turn, comes through that giant 4th turn, and heads down the main stretch. This will be the start of the pace lap. We are 1 lap away from the scheduled green flag. The field aligned, the front row, that white with blue and red trim car that Pancho Carter sits in. The Hardee's car alongside Scotty Brayton in his finest qualification ever. The Budweiser March on the outside of the front row. Bobby Rahal in that car as he's ready. A report comes to us that George Snyder's car displaying some smoke as on the pace lap, the field heads into the first turn. Ron Carroll.
And now the heart literally pounds away as the pace quickens. Tensions ready to be unleashed. There's Pancho Carter with the awesome responsibility of starting this race. The subtle orange colors of Scotty Brayton, Bobby Rahal, and the dark red number 10 outside. In row 2, ever popular Mario Andretti. The very smooth Emerson Fittipaldi. Don Whittingham on the outside. They're in turn 2. Come in, Howdy Bell.
The field maneuvers around the 2nd turn now. The front of the field is fully formed up at this moment. They head down that long backstretch. The front row is properly formed. They head toward the 3rd turn and come into view of Larry Henry.
It is a beautiful sight indeed as we look down this back straightaway. The first 5 rows are now ready to go. The back rows coming out of turn number 2, lining up 3 abreast all the way. Jim Garner in the Oldsmobile Calais pace car begins to pull away from the field. He'll leave them in control of Pancho Carter. The pace car lights are now off. The Calais pace car pulls away from the field. They are now under control of Pancho Carter in that number 6 Valvoline Buick Hawk. The first row going by. The second row now forming up. The third, the fourth, they're getting set. A little jockeying in the back of the field. They're heading to turn 4 and Bob Jenkins.
And the pace car going by me right now while the field is still coming through the short chute. Now the pace car docks to the inside. The pace begins to quicken here in turn number 4. The field looks to be in pretty good formation. They're off turn number 4, headed hopefully for a green. Here's the voice of the 500, Paul Page.
Carter, Rahal, they are on the main stretch now. The starter, Dwayne Sweeney, looks over the field. They come neatly to the start. A smooth, fast start. The green flag is out. Pancho Carter accelerates. Brayton jumps back. And now the field heads for the first turn.
And it's going to be Bobby Rahal out in front. Then Scotty Brayton. Then Pancho Carter. Then Mario Andretti is 4th. They're in turn 2.
And we've got our eyes on him right now. As we see, it is Bobby Rahal. Brayton, Andretti 3rd. Carter 4th. Fittipaldi 5th. Mears in 6th spot up the back stretch.
Bobby Rahal, the Cosworth Power coming up the back straightaway, but Mario Andretti's moving up into second already. Andretti trying to catch up with Rahal. They're going to have a battle for the lead going to turn 4.
It's a good race for second. Bobby Rahal is your leader. Mario Andretti now second, followed by Scott Brayton. Then Emerson Fittipaldi as we're about to complete lap 1.
Everybody expected the pole sitter to come around and lead the first lap, but it's Bobby Rahal, the Budweiser True Sports March, that comes across in first. In second is Mario Andretti.
And they're just that way. Bobby Rahal. Then Scott Brayton is in 3rd place right now. They're looking real good as they head to turn 2.
That's the story. Rahal, Andretti, Brayton, Emerson Fittipaldi is 4th. Al Unser is in 5th spot.
Bobby Rahal continuing to lead the Indianapolis 500. Mario Andretti trying to make up ground. Scott Brayton right there, and Emerson Fittipaldi going up into the north short chute.
Now Bobby Rahal has about a 5-car length advantage on Mario Andretti as they race through corner number 4 here. Running in 5th position is Al Unser Sr.
Bobby Rahal leads the field to complete lap number 2 as he flashes over the line. Then Andretti, then Brayton, then Carter, then Al Unser Sr. As the pace continues, we go to the second turn now.
We see them as they drop down to the white line, and it's Rahal with about a 10-car length lead. Mario Andretti, Scott Brayton, Emerson Fittipaldi, Al Unser Sr. Then it's Pancho Carter, Danny Sullivan, and Jeff Brabham as they head up that long 5/8-mile backstretch. Larry.
Bobby Rahal led 15 laps in 1983. He's led from the start so far in the 69th running of the Indianapolis 500. He's stretched that lead out on Mario Andretti.
He has indeed. It's now about a 10-car length advantage. It is Scott Brayton still running 3rd, and Emerson Fittipaldi is 4th.
Watching on the main stretch once again, here comes Bobby Rahal, then Andretti, then Scott Brayton, Emerson Fittipaldi, and that 7-11 car has moved up, and Al Unser Sr., Ron Carroll.
And that 32-year-old Dublin, Ohio driver, Bobby Rahal, continues to maintain that lead. They're in turn 2 right now.
Flashing by is Rahal with Andretti close behind. It's Brayton, Fittipaldi, Al Sr., Pancho Carter. And they're up the backstretch to Larry Henry.
Bobby Rahal, whose background is primarily road racing, adapting to the oval well here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Through 3, Mario Andretti in hot pursuit. Then it's Scott Brayton and Emerson Fittipaldi.
To everybody's relief, it was a very safe start, and now the field is pretty much strung out into single file formation as Rahal continues to lead.
Bobby Rahal leads the Indianapolis 500. The first lap was turned at 189.757 miles an hour. The record for the first lap was set last year by Rick Mears at 194.818 miles an hour.
Pancho Carter is below the white line, and he is headed for the pits. The pole sitter is in early trouble here at the 500.
So Pancho Carter, the pole sitter, they wondered about the ability of that Buick engine to last. He is on the pit road at this moment. He comes past the start-finish line and heads toward Lou Palmer. Lou?
Well, the crew is ready for him here now. They have a fueling hose ready to go, the air jack to put the car up, but they really don't know what's necessary yet. They're looking at the back of the car, smoke coming out of it. It is a dark smoke, an oil-like smoke. They are ready to take the back end of the cover off. Now they have decided they've got to shut it off. The engine has been shut. It is off the jacks and back down on the ground. Now they're going to stand by at least to throw some water on it in case it's necessary to dilute it on. We have no fire, but we've got one hot engine, and there's got to be oil coming out of it somewhere. So the way we leave it at the moment is the gaffer's tape is coming off. The inserts are being loosened. The cowling is about to be lifted off the back, and Pancho Carter waits patiently now. There is nothing he can tell them about this. They're handling it on their own, Paul.
Pancho Carter's month of May has been so happy, so exciting to this point, but it turns to dismay at the moment as the pole sitter is the first one to pit at the Indianapolis 500. The speed of the second lap, 195.591 miles an hour. That is about 2 miles an hour slower than Rick Mears ran it last year. Now, as the race pace continues, it is still out in front. Bobby Rahal. He has led from the start of the race. We are on lap number 8. They come onto the main stretch. It's Mario Andretti being chased by Danny Sullivan. Sullivan darts out, pulls alongside Mario Andretti. It's a drag race down the main stretch. Can Sullivan pull Andretti into the first turn? Ron Carroll.
Gentlemen, it is Danny Sullivan gets him. Danny Sullivan gets him down. No, he's twirling. No, he's spinning. Danny Sullivan spins, but he goes around twice and gathers it in.
Absolutely incredible. Danny Sullivan spun in front of Mario Andretti, gathered the car back up and continues on, and Sullivan only fell back to second place. Larry Henry, they're coming to you.
Well, this is reminiscent of Roberto Guerrero a year ago when Roberto Guerrero spun and kept going. Here comes Mario Andretti now. Here's Danny Sullivan after that spin. He'll have to change tires, but what a job of driving by the man from Louisville, Kentucky, Danny Sullivan.
Absolutely unbelievable. Danny Sullivan got past Andretti in the short chute and then lost control of it. And he spun the car completely, but he caught it, regained control, and continued on. Now Andretti comes to the pits. Jerry Baker is there, and Sullivan comes in as well. Jerry Baker. Let's go to Lou Palmer in Danny Sullivan's pit.
Danny Sullivan has arrived. They are now taking off. Let's see, both of the right side tires. We are going to have to be sure what they do with the left side of that car. We are looking at them as well. He had to have flat spotted, so with tires around, fuel going in, and his own yellow light helping him out somewhat. Danny Sullivan is off the jacks and now being pushed away. At the south end, we're looking at, that would be car number 11, Al Unser Sr. He has pitted as well. The Sullivan is back out in the hunt after looping it twice, changing tires, and rejoining the pack.
Well, Gordon Johncock, if you want to get a yellow flag, that's the way to do it. The yellow is out. Danny Sullivan spun the car, and it brought out the yellow flag, but he continued on.
Well, Danny got real low on the track, and then when he came back up, I think maybe he got a little bit too high. No, you could see the car wiggle when he was coming off the corner, but he was luckily that he missed the wall, and Mario done a remarkable job of missing him, especially with all the smoke that Mario couldn't really see where he was going.
Mario Andretti had to be holding his breath. He darted to the left as Danny Sullivan spun to the high side of the course. Let's go to Lou. 7 yellow flags during this running of the Indianapolis 500. It appears that our 7th is about to come to an end. Larry Henry.
Right now, the pace car lights are off. The pace car in 4. Danny Sullivan's leading. Michael Andretti's going to clear room so Dad can get by to give a shot at Danny Sullivan. It's going to be a shootout right down to the end. They're in 4, heading to the green.
Here they come. The green flag flies, and the race is on once again. Mario goes inside, passes his son, and now sets his sights on Danny Sullivan.
The crowd jumps to their feet as Danny Sullivan across the line. Mario Andretti with one car between him and Danny Sullivan. Andretti in second place as they stream through the first turn and head for turn 2. Howdy Bell.
And we have our eyes on him as they approach directly right toward us. There goes Danny Sullivan with Mario Andretti trying to get by Howdy Holmes, and he's going to get by him on the backstretch as the leader goes to turn 3.
Danny Sullivan's already built up about a 25 car length advantage on Mario Andretti, but Andretti now has clear track in front of him. The question, can the Lola handle well enough to catch Danny Sullivan?
Clear sailing between the first and second positions. There goes Sullivan. Here comes Mario Andretti, and we've got only 2 more laps to go.
Danny Sullivan in the Miller American March across the line, now working on his 198th lap. Danny Sullivan being chased down by Andretti. Ron Carroll.
All right, And we're going to keep our eyes on Mario Andretti. See how he gets through that turn. He keeps it above the white line. They're in turn two. Howdy Bell.
Sullivan flashes by Andretti about 3 seconds behind, I would say, at this point, and he's got his sights set on him up that backstretch. Larry.
You know Mario Andretti has it all the way to the floorboard. He's using every bit of racing knowledge he has learned throughout his career to try to catch Danny Sullivan, but Sullivan is pulling away from Andretti.
The bad racing luck that Mario has had since 1969, it looks like is going to continue. Sullivan with a solid lead as we head for the white flag.
2.5 miles to go for the Miller American March, and Danny Sullivan as he is going to victory.
And there's Danny Sullivan in the first turn, the 35-year-old driver from Louisville, Kentucky. Take it away, Howdy Bell.
He's heading right toward me now, 2 wheels below the yellow line. Flashes by as he has increased his lead over Mario. And Danny looks like he's on his way to the checkered flag, but first he passes turn 3.
About half a lap to go. Roger Penske's going to win back-to-back Indianapolis 500s. Last year, Rick Mears. This year, Danny Sullivan in the Miller American March. He's in turn 4.
The crowd is on his feet cheering for Danny Sullivan. He comes off of corner number 4 to call the winner. Here's the voice of the 500, Paul Page.
The Indianapolis 500 has a new champion, as Danny Sullivan has won the 69th Indianapolis 500 in the Miller American March. The man from Louisville, the winner of the 500. Mario Andretti in second place, and Roberto Guerrero across the line in third place. But it's Danny Sullivan that has won the 500, and Roger Penske's team for the second year in a row has won the Indianapolis 500 as well. Danny Sullivan, who has been so skillful in his Indy cars, moved over to Formula One to drive with Ken Tyrrell for a while, and then comes back into the Indy cars again. At the first race of the season, he battled with Mario Andretti. Mario came out the victor here, but at Indianapolis is where it counts for the big money, and Danny Sullivan has proven his worth. Danny Sullivan has won the Indianapolis 500-mile race. Gordon Johncock, Roger Ward, an excellent victory for Danny Sullivan.
Well, I think it was. You know, he drove a good, clean race all day. He had one mistake down in the corner when he tried to pass Mario, and he probably got in some bad air there with Mario right tight behind him. But he drove a great race all day long, and he ended up in victory circle, and that's what definitely counts. Roger?
Now Danny Sullivan pulls into victory lane, just below the master control tower at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we go to Lou Palmer.
And the Miller American is here. Danny Sullivan has arrived in victory lane. It isn't that far a drive from Louisville, Kentucky, but in terms of a career, this is about as good as you can get it, and Danny Sullivan got here in a real hurry. But he got here with a championship team. Roger Penske, the first in to congratulate him. Roger with back-to-back wins in this year's in the 500 this year and last. Danny Sullivan only now being unbuckled, the helmet being loosened, and the cheers are inordinate. We are close to the car itself. The ceremonies will begin only when he comes out and forward. And Roger, as we await it, back-to-back 500s. That's something special.
Well, we're real happy. Danny did a super job, and it's a credit to Derek Walker and Chuck Sprague and the whole crew. They just did a super job all day.
Quite a guy. And the hats are going on now. It is Goodyear first to acknowledge the Miller American sponsorship will be noted as well. And Danny Sullivan coming up and out of the cockpit after a long and hot ride is a most happy fellow. The big hug first is from Roger. The wreath goes across. The crew is elated. And we have, I think, a glass of milk for a thirsty fella. A Miller as well. We'll get one, then the other, and then a few words from Danny Sullivan. There it is. It's Miller time. Danny Sullivan, congratulations. Some ride. First you spin, then you win. Welcome home.
Oh, I tell you, you couldn't have had much more exciting. Mom!
Who is that lady?
That's my mother.
Ah, some son, Mom. So, how did the day go from beginning to end? Here's another lovely lady. Danny Sullivan brings style to victory lane.